Welcome to the Multiverse Comics Podcast. On today's episode, we're talking all about the absolutes. Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and the brand new absolutes coming out right now. Join us. Here we go.
We're going to talk absolutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so...
You were the holdout.
I was, and I'm all caught up now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you think?
This sucks. No, of course. No, I enjoyed it very much. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I have the benefit of plowing through the first, 5 issues of Batman, pretty much.
The first story arc of all 3.
Well,
Actually, it's the first, they've all completed their first arc.
When I crossed the line, so that was 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So wherever we were at that point, so I think it was like the first 4 or 5 issues of Batman, the first 3 or 4 of Wonder Woman, the first 2 or 3 of Superman. So I got to do a nice big, chewy, tasty season chunk of all of them. And I quite enjoy it. I like the premise. I think there's a lot of potential there for storytelling. And I like what I've seen so far. I'm staying away from the, what am I thinking in terms of longevity? Maybe this will last a year. Although I think Scott Snyder in an interview said that they're plotted up, I think, to issue 24 on Batman. So I mean, that's 2 years right there.
Yeah.
This could go, hey, maybe we'll get 5 years out of this. This will sort of be like Darkseid's New 52. I don't know. But I'm enjoying it. They've all got things that I really, really, really like. They've all got things that I'm on. But they're small. They're very, very small. So yeah.
So I'll press. I'll start with Absolute Wonder Woman. So I know you have a deep love.
I do.
Of Wonder.
I do, very much so.
So, what are the I really, really likes?
The premise, the setup. It all once I kind of started to develop that theory, which we'll talk about in a minute, and kind of seeing how this is all. Does this fit with my theory? Okay, and so far, it kind of does. I like the idea of the relationship between Diana and Cersei. I like that a lot. I think that's a very interesting. As much as it's Diana is Diana. That's the thing about this, isn't it? At their core, Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne. Kal-El is Kal-El, Diana is Diana. As my mum would say, same meat, different gravy. Okay. But it's so the nature is locked on all 3 of those, but it's the nurture element now. So what happens when you put Batman? What happens if you make him poor and make the circumstances of his awakening that he's going to do something about this crime thing a little different? The same thing with Superman, the same thing now with Diana. I like that. But I really like the relationship that she has with Cersei, the representation of the Greek gods, especially in the current issue, which I haven't finished yet. But yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Hades is written as such Benedict Cumberbatch has to do the voice when they get around to doing the movie, because it's that kind of smarmy, very, very British in a very condescending, patronizing sort of way.
I don't know if you got to the point where the line was where he's like, you need to take off all your weapons.
Yes.
And it's like, everything's a weapon. I don't know what you want me to.
Why did you leave her with her boots on or something like that? Well, it's weapons. Everything's a weapon.
And her, her bag of holding.
I know, right?
Everything comes out of that. You're like,
yes. It's funny, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of bag of holding. I thought about Felix's, Felix the cat, his magic bag. We referenced
Felix in the store as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, things I'm not crazy about. The art. It's different. It's interesting, but it doesn't convey the emotion.
A friend of mine referred to the first 5 issues of the art, like something you'd find on a Venetian pot.
Yes. Yeah.
The thin lines and I was like, well, maybe they're trying that
Could be.
style, but
Yeah.
it.
Is that Kelly Thompson?
The writer. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know the artist off the top of it, but art style that has been the art style has been the least favorite. So, and I'll say again, Superman. What do you like? What do you not like?
I like the idea that Krypton is very different in terms of its structure. I like that quite a lot. I like the idea that, Krypton, if you look at the history of Superman comics, Krypton has been portrayed in a couple of different ways, but they always tend to be like I may be wrong here, but that they're all sort of the same. I don't recall ever having a class system in Krypton quite the way that we're getting here.
The last 2 times I saw that portrayed that way. John Byrne did a World of Krypton miniseries.
I just thought of that as I said it. Yeah, he did.
The Sci-Fi Channel Krypton show with Adam Strange.
Right.
Because you saw more of the slums of Krypton. So I think they're taking from those elements.
Right.
No,
that's very true. But there it is. So there's a class system. The idea that the Eloi of Krypton, get that reference, boys and girls. Go to your library, read a book. How they're fully aware that this planet is toast and they're going to bail. I thought that was kind of in keeping with the whole. There's a little bit of a social bite to this book, in terms of, who has agency, both on Earth and on Krypton, who doesn't, what determines who has agency. Well, wealth seems to be a big part of that, which is something obviously that has become a growing concern in our real lives, with your 1%ers and what have you. The humbling of Superman in terms of his power set, I think, is kind of interesting. That fits in with that theory that I've got, which we might come to in a minute.
Well, no, we're gonna make all the way around.
Make it all the way around. Things I'm not too crazy about. Actually, Superman probably has the least number of things. Yeah, I would say actually probably Superman has the least number of things. I find Sol, his sort of
Jiminy Cricket,
kind of interesting. I think the Lois Lane dynamic is kind of interesting. What with this thing with the Peacemakers, I think this is the one that kind of has got the slowest burn to it.
Yeah.
And I quite like that because I don't need everything given to me in one head. So there you go.
And then the Cape Crusade.
The idea that, which is a very Batman thing, Batman isn't Batman because of all those wonderful toys. He's Batman because he is. So if he's billionaire Bruce Wayne, it just means he can do his job with maybe a little more sophistication. He can be a little more resourceful with his gadgets and his car and his plane and his bike and his boat and his, but even without all of that, we've always known, if you take away all of Bruce Wayne's gazillions, which oddly enough they have done, he wouldn't go, oh, I can't afford to be Batman anymore. No, he'd find a way, because what does Batman do? He always finds a way. So this is kind of taken to the extreme end. I like the sort of junkyard approach. I particularly like his Batmobile, which this sort of, what is it, like a cement mixer that he's kind of built on.
Jason and I got a big kick out of that. It's not the rolling platform.
Yeah, it's just, this thing is just junk. I mean, it is. It's all, he's junk Batman. I like the Alfred Pennyworth.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of interesting. Because Pennyworth he's got a military background, so that's still in place, but in keeping with everything else, he didn't leave it. He kind of buried himself in it even more. And some of the little dynamics with Gordon It's funny in Darkseid's universe, Bullock is a lot more together than he is in the regular DCU, which again feeds into my theory about all of this, and what I think we're going to see more of. I really can't wait till we get into some of these baddies a little bit more. If I have one gripe, is that money or not, or resources or not, Bruce Wayne is supposed to be smart, and he doesn't come across as smart in this book. He comes across as blunt. It's very physical. It's very violent. And I don't have a problem with the violence. Of course not. But there's it'll be interesting if we get to a point where he's actually going to start doing some detective work, just how well he would get on. Because with him, it's very much punch, punch, kick, kick, dab you in the face, Yeah.
That may also work with your theory as well.
And
Thinking
indeed.
Jason, if you need mouth to mouth, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's smoker.
Yeah. And I like it.
So
you read Flash?
I did.
Now we all can talk about it.
We can all talk about it.
But hold on, I want to go back to Superman, Batman.
Okay.
So, reading as serial comics, Batman did a crazy good job of being issue for issue entertaining. Every issue felt like a self-contained thing. And it was really well written as a serial story and as a complete story. I think it was really well done. Scott, I think it is like a magnum opus for Scott Snyder. It's the best I've ever seen him write stuff. At least I enjoyed it the most. And the artwork I thought was extraordinary and dynamic. And I don't think I could ask for much more out of this thing. I love the new gadgets and things. Every time I was like, ooh, we get a new gadget. What's that going to be? I was waiting to see what the cape was going to be and all that. So I couldn't be happier with Absolute Batman. Absolute Wonder Woman, it lost me. I got bored with it and I put it down.
Why do you think that is?
I think it might have been that I got a little bit of a spoiler with, by the way, spoilers galore here. So
just
I'm going to tell you the spoiler that ruined it for me. So it was the arm chop thing. I was like, I'm done. I saw an image early of the mechanical arm and I was like, that's just dumb. And I was like, I'm not going to read that anymore. So
you didn't see how they resolved that?
I didn't see how they resolved that. Yeah, I had to go back and do it. But because I saw later that they did resolve it. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. So then,
not that Jason has anything against people who've lost limbs. It's not a pet peeve. It's not a
prejudice.
Not a prejudice.
I love y'all both.
Amputees, you're all good in Jason's book. Honest.
I never would have even thought, whatever.
All right.
So, yes. So then, what was the other one? Oh, Superman. Superman, it was a slow burn. And I don't think they resolved anything in the whole first arc. Like when they said, oh, this is the finale of this, and I'm like, what the hell? He didn't do anything. Like we know how he got here, sort of, but we still don't know where he landed. We don't know any of that. Like nothing is fully resolved. So when you complete an arc in one of these things, first, you're lazy if you don't do 6 issues. You only did 5 issues, and it pisses me off. Batman did 6. The other 2 did 5. That just pisses me off. It's cheap and lazy.
Since when did 6 issues become the mandatory benchmark?
It has been forever.
Well,
look at all the collected issues, the collections we had.
They're going to 4s and 5s now because they don't want to. They want to crank them out.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to get the Batman one, the Superman and Wonder Woman. They're all going to be the same price point, but one gives you 6 issues of material. The other 2 are going to give you 5, and it's because the other 2, lazy assholes. So, yeah.
Ooh.
Hot sports opinions. So,
man,
feisty tonight.
Yeah. Anyway, so they didn't resolve anything. They just said, oh, this is the finale. We're done. And he's off to the next thing. He's going to Smallville. could you not have just told me about the Smallville part, please? That said, it gave me, I did like the seeing Kal-El grow up on Krypton.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. It gave me issue number 3, which I recorded a video on this, I think is the country song of comic books. It is the ultimate. So daddy goes to jail, mama goes to break him out, brings the dog and the kid with her, even drives the little red spaceship, like their little red pickup truck, to go break daddy out of jail. It is the ultimate country song.
A buddy of mine watched your episode and he said, it's Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
The Duke boys showed up with the Henry Lee. Kryptonians.
Like it started out.
Jin Lee? No, I'm saying in the Kryptonian.
They're trying to show the whole time that like these people, they love Krypton, they love the land, so they're out camping, fishing, and like it is the most country episode ever, but it's Krypton country, and I just appreciate it. With that live,
you know where you are when you're in Krypton country.
So funny.
You know what Cracker Barrel is like on Krypton?
Jason's take on that made me reread the book, and I just kept laughing because
I have to do
that video. It really, because it resonated, because it's a very apt take. I mean, I don't know if any other professional reviewers out there would even think about saying that, but that was.
Meanwhile, back in Metropolis,
I made it my own song.
Luthor,
I had a whole song.
He went,
I had a guitar. I made the song.
He did. He sang.
One campaign, I went fishing. Daddy went to jail and mama broke him out. It was the whole thing.
So
yeah. So that, I appreciate that about Superman, but I was disappointed in Absolute Superman. I wanted it to be more. I love the power set, the dust thing. I don't know what the hell the dust is, but it's pretty badass. So that's cool. Like it's a cool take. And the resolution with the black mask in Absolute Batman, shifting back to that. That's a gadget we hadn't seen before, but it was perfect.
What his
ear things going forward. Because before we saw the ear things, like in the very first issue, he takes one of the ear things out and throws it like a throwing knife, right? This time they flip forward and stabs Black Mask in the eyeballs.
Yeah, it was kind of intense. Well,
he's falling through the ceiling with all the death masks for all the other mob guys.
Sure.
That is the most brutal comic I've ever read, I think. It's up there. So
I enjoy y'all's take because, and the reason why, Jason has a very strong opinion about Absolute Superman because he's a Superman fan at heart.
Yeah.
And, it's fun to, and Steven's a very strong Wonder Woman fan. And that's kind of why I asked those questions, because it's fun listening to people give reviews, and y'all are giving them similar the same way, because there are a lot of people that I've encountered. And I think it's a subconscious thing when they're talking about the reviews, is they're almost talking like these are going to overtake or supplant the Prime Universe. Well, I mean, maybe not consciously, but I think like sometimes like your disappointment in some of the elements in Krypton wasn't my Krypton from the main universe. Well, it was never supposed to be.
Yeah, right.
And Steven has a wonderful, we need to do a Wonder Woman podcast, listen to Steven's appreciation, because he's taught me stuff every time we've discussed the matter. And none of these characters are a diehard character for me, so I don't have I've enjoyed all of them, but I'm just kind of enjoying the ride, and I know that at some point Darkseid's going to show up, and how are we going to fix this? I mean, even the Green Lantern comic book coming out next week, I've heard some very not positive things and some confusion about it. And I'm like, I'm going to give it a go.
Oh, yeah.
I was surprised in how much I enjoyed the Martian Manhunter. It's a little weird, kids. I've now read The Flash 3 times, and now that I know the author's take on this is my 13-year-old son as Wally, gives me an appreciation because we've all had a 13-year-old kid. And God, could you imagine one of them getting powers like that and no one around to supervise them? Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
That, hilarity ensues. But now I want to circle back to the grand finale, kids. Stephen St. James's thoughts and in theory on this because I enjoyed it and I couldn't explain it to Jason properly. But it makes sense.
So I'm hoping that I can, because it was kind of a fly thing, on the fly sort of thing, because we were talking about it. So it's an organic conversation. But it occurred to me that, so it all goes back to that All-In special, right? And the point that DC has made to make it clear that there's a positive and a negative charge to this universe, right? So the positive charge is Superman, hope, okay, and the negative charge is Darkseid, despair. Okay, so I was working this through actually last night with my wife because I still don't think that despair is the right word, but we're just going to have to go with it for the moment. Okay, so we have a universe which is our DC, prime, whatever you want to call it, right? Where no matter what happens, there is it's a hopeful universe. It is. It has to be. Okay. If Superman is sort of at the center of this universe, which they've sort of established that he is, like every universe needs to have a Superman. He's the guiding light, if you will. Okay. Then Darkseid would always have an awareness that no matter what he comes up with, he gets the anti-life equation in that All-In special. He figures it out. He's got it. It's never going to be enough. He's always going to be, because we are in a hopeful universe. So he comes up with a plan that will allow him to have his own universe where he will be the more significant charge. And Superman, that sense of hope, will be in the diminutive. It's kind of like I was sort of running this, like I said, I was running this through with my wife, and she was sort of looking at me like, oh God, here he goes. And I'm like, sort of imagine Superman and Darkseid sitting on a teeter-totter, right? It's like the invisible hand of God, or whatever, has just gently kind of tapped Superman's side a little bit. So he's got a little bit of extra pull there. Whereas in this absolute universe, that finger, that weight, that's going to be on Darkseid's side. And if that's the case, then if this is not a universe of hope, then this is a universe of despair. Then that's going to permeate everything that we see. So with Superman, for example, this is why, Darkseid would recognize, okay, so there has to be a Superman, because that's how these universes work. There's a multiversal awareness that role has to be fulfilled to some level. But he's not going to let that Superman be the Superman that we know. No, he's going to be flawed. He's going to have troubles. There are going to be things that he will struggle. There's a Batman. Right, okay, we've got to have a Batman. Fine, we'll have a Batman. I'm not going to make his life easy either. So let's take all of his money away. Let's see how he gets on with that. Let's keep one of his parents alive. Let's see how that goes. Okay. Wonder Woman. Okay, so the wisdom of Athena and the grace of this person and the da-da-da-da-da. Right, well, okay, so she's raised in this, matriarchy of wonder and beauty on Themyscira. Fine. Good special effects.
Sorry.
Let's take all that away. Let's throw her into hell. Let's see what kind of an effect growing up in hell has on someone who is supposed to be this, because she doesn't represent hope the way that Superman does. She represents resilience. She represents, because she's an agent of war. Yeah, she endures. Well, hell, the idea of her growing up in hell, that's going to strip that down. She had to lose a limb in order to save Steve Trevor. Whereas our version of Wonder Woman just basically had to sneak him out on a boat.
Cut him on a beach.
Yeah, exactly. But in this one, no, she's got to actually... These heroes are going to have to sacrifice things. They're not going to be able to just get by on their wits and good looks. They're going to suffer. There is an element of suffering here. There's a disparity here. This despair that is going to permeate and has to permeate. And that's what makes this universe works. And once you get that in your head, go back and start rereading things, and you find out that, and you kind of view like in Absolute Batman. So when we look at Gotham City in Universe Prime, Gotham City is a very dark place, very shadowed, very gothic, very Art Deco, and the villains are very colorful. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of, like everything is kind of ramped up. What I'm kind of getting from Absolute Batman is this Gotham doesn't even have that character. I think this Gotham, the evil, it's all out in the open.
Yeah.
It's very matter of fact. People live in Gotham City in the Prime universe. They fear that evil that's out there. And this is why Batman is so important, because he gives them hope. Well, what if the people who lived in Gotham, what if they didn't have that need for hope? What if they were content with the fact that, yeah, I mean, you know, I let my kids go out and play. It might be the last time I ever see them. That's just the way it is. Apathy. It's apathy run riot, which is not something that Gotham City has had before. Gotham City has never been apathetic. That's never been the case. If that was, honestly, I don't even think that would work. I mean, you would get to a point like No Man's Land, and then it would be like, I think most people would be happy to just kind of wash their hands a bit and just walk away. But that wasn't the case then. But I think it is the case here. So this villain, Black Mask, it's all very out in the open. He's giving masks to the zoo crew, whatever.
Anybody, like, he starts just dropping them in the middle of the city.
And how are the police reacting to this? Well, actually, it kind of seems like the police are a little more concerned with their own internal squabbles than they are with kind of keeping Gotham City safe. It's like, that's the price you pay for living here.
Yeah, they're more interested in going after Batman than they are the party animals.
Yeah, because that's something that they're not going to tolerate. They're not going to tolerate anybody coming in here and, how dare he come in here and try and change things?
Well, don't do my job.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
they'll do my job.
That's right. So I find it interesting that Gordon in this is the mayor.
Yeah.
And people really don't want him. They want the previous mayor, who everyone knew was corrupt, but they were okay with that because they knew where they stood. And Bullock is incredibly together. He makes the decision to go against Gordon and root for the old Mayor Hill.
Yeah.
I'm like, so in Bullock, I keep saying our universe like we live there.
Primed.
But in the Prime universe, Bullock is this, slob with a heart of gold, Whereas in the Absolute version, I think he's quite well together. I don't think he's got a heart of gold. I think he is probably a very cynical, selfish person.
Yeah.
And that's the dynamic. The fact that he's friends with all the rogues when they were kids, again, this is going to be the flip side. What does that do? What is that going to do to Bruce Wayne when time goes on and he starts to realize that all of his childhood friends...
I think that, like, what they started to allude to is that they're not going to be rogues. They're going to be his Scooby Gang.
Maybe.
Like in the last issue. In the last issue, they were his Scooby Gang.
I know. But I'm not convinced that that's going to be the long term. I'm not.
It'd be cool if they were.
Yeah, but
like if the Bat Family was Batman plus his rogues.
No,
that'd be great.
I think they will be rogues. I think, and they will know who he is, and they will make him suffer in a way that Earth Prime's rogues cannot make Batman suffer, because
maybe they'll just pick different rogues to be the men.
No,
wouldn't it be great if we had like the Egghead as the main bad guy?
King Tut.
King Tut.
Well, of course. But Eartha Kitt Catwoman, let's just go crazy. But no, I think it will. I'm very interested to see what the Riddler will be like. I think we can have a Riddler here that will be particularly vile. And the Joker, well, what have they kind of
Well,
teased
Joker's the
us?
really rich kid.
He's really rich.
Yeah.
He has all the resources, and he finds nothing funny, and
Yeah.
that's why they call him the Joker.
Yeah.
I find that's fascinating. That's it. That's going to be very interesting. So, yeah.
So
Is that pretty close to what I said?
that's pretty close, but we had one element of, you did have a question, why would Darkseid, if he, it was, we acknowledged that there had to be a Superman in every universe.
Right.
Why would Darkseid even let him have powers? Or we kind of started dancing around like, why would he?
We did.
And what the end game might be.
What did I say? Do you remember?
We didn't get to that because because I kept, and I keep bringing up that, I know that there's been some in-house ads about the Prime Universe and the Absolute Universe.
Yeah.
And while I personally don't think that is the end of it, because if these books are selling really well, they'll keep this going some format or the other. What I don't want is for them to collapse one universe into the other. Yeah, I don't need, broke Bruce Wayne.
No.
I don't need that. But broke Bruce Wayne.
He'll be the new Ben Riley.
He'll
He'll be the Ben Riley version.
It would be confusing. He shows up to the Batman.
Well, we've already
this is Bruce, and he's like 9 feet tall.
We've already got the high-end Batman.
Yeah.
So there's two Batmans right
That's
now.
true.
But at some point, we know Darkseid will reconstitute our universe.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
what effect does that have on the absolute? If they can keep the story quality up for the next 10 years, great. Never known a spin-off universe the first Ultimate Universe kind of came close to that. Yeah.
Well, you don't think Marvel's New Universe in the late 80s counts?
Have you been reading the New Gods?
Yes.
I read the first issue and I forgot about it after that.
Yeah.
But is that baby Darkseid?
I don't know. That would be too obvious to me.
Baby Darkseid.
But yeah, baby. What would a baby Darkseid? We can imagine that. But that was a thought that I had.
Yeah.
And as it's gone on, I was like, that would be too obvious.
But we're
And it'd be
missing a Darkseid.
it'd be too. We are. It'd be too quick. It would be too quick to come back. Like, I think you got to give this a year. You've got because there's a lot of stuff going on. Everything going on with the Justice League and that Justice League family, the Aquaman book. This is all Darkseid coming back.
Oh yeah.
How's it going to happen? But we got around to if this was his plan for this universe. What was the end game? Since Superman's his ultimate threat. What is the ultimate end game if you can't eliminate him and have a universe without him? How weak did it's kind of how weak did he make him and all of that? But I just thought all of that is very fascinating, and I kind of skirted with every time I thought, well, this isn't supposed to be your mama's universe, so
Right.
But you had a much better delivery and analytical side to it, and what I also think is kind of fun, which might help you find an answer, because it's been a while since I've read it. You're reading The Fourth World, the original animation, and so you get to see his early machinations.
Yes.
And the one thing that's always been his driving force is the anti-life.
Right.
And there's been several times when he's gotten it.
Yeah.
So this is the first time though he got it and blew up the universe.
Well, and so it yes. Yeah, just that. Yes, absolutely. And I'm curious about that because we've had, they're re-releasing a deluxe edition hardcover of Cosmic Odyssey. I think I don't think that's a coincidence. I think there's a reason for that.
They're re-releasing the Legion of Superhero run that he showed up in that too. Maybe it's just all things Darkseid.
Yeah, but I think there's some seeds here. We did this anti-life equation in Tom Taylor, I think, was the deceased guy. I wasn't too crazy about that. Okay, so he gets to create zombies, if that's the case. No, I don't think so. I think we're going to get something more sophisticated. Yeah. But the Flash. So now we're in phase 2, where we're going to get the Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern.
Aquaman? No. Is there an Aquaman in that?
No, not in Phase 2. It's just the 3 books. The Flash it was fun, but I didn't really come away from the first issue sort of thinking, wow, that's a stunning flip and twist on the old. But I think that could very well be like Superman. That one might be a slow burn, no pun intended.
Flash and Green Lantern, because I've read Green Lantern. It comes out this week, I think.
Yes.
But both of those do a thing that drives me crazy, like an origin story where you just get a glimpse of the character at the very end of the book. We got that with like Ultimate Spider-Man, where you didn't see a Spider-Man costume till the last page. They did that in both of these. I've now read Flash 2, Absolute Flash 2.
Right.
And they fixed that. So you get some action, and it feels, Flash 2 is a very frenetic superhero Flash story, but it's a Flash story like you hit fast forward on it. It's tons of action in it.
Do you think he's time traveling?
Who?
Wall.
He might be. He might be. There certainly is
and it's it definitely told us a series of like flashbacks and forwards, right?
That was just something that I couldn't get a good handle on. And someone's put out the theory that this Barry, who's dead, might be his Professor Zoom. I don't know. I mean, I where that
issue 2 will issue.
Okay.
I can't remember where issue 1 cuts off. I'm pretty sure I remember now.
Yeah, I think it's a core. I think it's you see Barry's corpse at the end of issue 1 or something like skeleton or something.
I just remember the Rogues or the
at the end of issue 1 you do see
That's why I was just curious because there are some, and I will admit, with everything else going on in the world in my life, sometimes I'll have to read these things 4 times to catch the subtleties.
Right.
And then once again, I'll watch 1 or 2 of my favorite podcasters, and they will talk it up. I will listen to y'all talk, and I'll go, I need to go back and read this, because that's with Absolute Martian Manhunter. I missed about 3 of the core concepts, kind of just thumbing through it, and maybe I'm just a simple man with simple comic need.
But let's jump on that one though, because Martian Manhunter. As far as the absolute books go, I think that one has to be the absolutiest.
It's the term.
It is now. In terms of sort of the expectations of all. I wonder what this take on the character will be, and then it's like, whoa, this is banana balls. But I really dug that. I like, that's kind of what I want. I don't want them all to sort of follow the same threads. I do want some,
all of them are all different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is, woof. I liked that. And the art, and it's the whole color thing. And I quite liked that. I'm looking forward to Green Lantern. I've heard some of the rumblings about this. It doesn't seem like it's going to be, I think it's going to be a different concept for Green Lantern, which you can do with the Green Lantern. You can do with all of them. I mean, that's what makes Elseworlds. I'm still kind of focusing on why they decided that in terms that the books will be absolute, and in the universe they're going to refer to it as the Elseworld. Still wondering about that. I guess we'll find out someday.
We will.
And what's going on with Booster Gold?
We haven't seen him.
Booster Gold he's on the other side of the rainbow. He's in there somewhere.
He's in the absolute book somewhere, but we haven't seen him.
We don't know.
We don't know.
That's another.
We should. That's a miss.
Well, and it may not be. It may be planned.
Yeah, I
think that's very, because
I was hoping that Aquaman would run into him, but he didn't.
We might, because that Aquaman book does look like it's going to be.
It's all over. I mean,
it's kind of going in there.
It's all over the place, and
yeah,
it would be interesting to see Booster Gold, because you can either play Booster as the slapstick.
Yeah.
He's not a tech guy. Not really. He's just from the future.
That's right.
That's why he needs Ted. But if he was stuck in this universe and had to become the tech guy. I mean, because he knows he's in the wrong place.
Yes.
And somewhere it might be, did Superman trick me? Why did Superman pick me for this? Because people keep coming back to that. He was calling him Michael. He's being all chummy, and Superman's always been polite, but has always had some underlying issue with Booster wanting to be, driving at rolling billboard, and what kind of resentment might be built. And maybe they won't touch on that because I don't need Booster sitting in the negative verse being all anti-Clark, but there is. I mean, what if we find John Rambo Booster?
Well, I here's what I'm wondering. So you have Booster over there. I wonder what absolute Ted Kord looks like.
Would be an interesting,
because again, the core is, that's the challenge. Don't change the core. So Ted Kord has to be
an industrialist,
a hero, but he might not be an industrialist.
Yeah.
So what made Ted Kord's ability to be Blue Beetle easier? He's got Kord Industries. He's got his money. So you got to take that away.
He shows up as Night Owl.
Good. But that's one disappointment in the new DC movie verse. That Blue Beetle movie was pretty good.
Still haven't seen it.
It was pretty good.
I mean,
I would like to see more of that Blue Beetle.
Well, I mean, Gunn has signed that. Gunn has said that kid's going to be.
Oh, is it?
He's going to be that Blue Beetle, but that story.
Yeah,
we're not going to see any of those other. We're not going to see George Lopez again or any of that.
Yeah.
But
well, that's fine.
Yeah. But yes,
so he's going to be in the Blue Gold Booster.
He's going to be. He is. James. That's the only thing James Gunn's like. He said there were two actors he wanted to bring over.
Yeah.
First one very quickly was the Blue Beetle.
Okay.
The other one's Momoa.
Yeah.
Momoa is playing Lobo.
Isn't he bringing over Viola Davis?
He considers her already established.
Okay.
Well, I told you the story about when I met Viola Davis.
You were on a plane or something, weren't you, at an airport?
No, that's when I met Post Malone. When I met Viola Davis, so I had this.
Was a seminar.
I was supposed to speak at 30 Rock, for my job. I was going to speak and do a presentation for a bunch of recruiting people that work for NBC Universal, and I was talking to them about the future of recruiting, right? So I do that on my tiny little world speaking circuit. I talk about these things. So I rock up to 30 Rock for an actual business professional reason. I go up to the guest reception area and I'm looking on my phone. I'm scrolling through because you have to find the person that sent you the invites. You get the name so you can get your guest badge and go up the elevator to actually do business in 30 Rock, which I was very proud of myself for. So I go and I couldn't find the name. I'm scrolling through my phone, doing my thing. And I look up and right next to me, John Lithgow. And
nice.
And so here I am. All of my celebrity interactions are terrible. I've never had a good one. So John Lithgow's right there. I'm like, man, he was on 30 Rock, right? Wait, no, he was on Third Rock. Oh gosh, do I think he was on Third Rock because I'm in 30 Rock? And I threw myself off. But the only other thing I can remember that he was in was Harry and the Hendersons.
Right.
But you don't want to say, hey, you were great in Harry and the Hendersons that I watched when I was 12. So instead, I was like, well, hello. You been there the whole time? Yes, I have. Okay. And he's like a very tall man.
Yes.
So, hence being Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. So that was pretty much the interaction. And so then we go, and it's about to be my turn to walk up, and somebody goes, hey, do you mind? There's a lady, she's running late. Can she jump in front of you? I'm like, sure, I got plenty of time. So lady comes, she said, hey, thanks for letting me through. And I said, no problem, anytime. And she signs up, does her thing. I get to the front of the line and I go, I look at the lady and I said, hey, it's not every day you get to stand in line with John Lithgow. She goes, and Viola Davis. And Viola Davis was the lady that I led in front of me. And I had this interaction thank you, you're welcome interaction with her. I did not recognize her at all. didn't like her hair was like natural instead of like down in the very business kind of thing that they do in the movies, and she was wearing like really chunky tennis shoes and like just did not look like
She did not.
she was not Amanda Waller.
Right.
She was not Amanda Waller. She was apparently normal Viola Davis with big glasses and stuff.
I got it.
Anyway, but yeah, I know Viola Davis.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Well done.
And, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you've now met the future Dumbledore.
Forgot about that. Yes.
That's right.
And Dumbledore. Wow.
And
I
then
know. I did meet John Lithgow.
And I got to say, just a couple of hours ago, I watched a trailer on Apple TV called oh shit. It's a shame. It's something it's a horror movie with John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a
And
combo.
It looks amazing. I want to see this. God, what the hell is that thing called? It's set in England. It's set in a elderly care facility in England, and Lithgow is doing a northern English accent, and he's freaking nailing it.
Spot on.
And that's a tough. I can't even do that.
What does it sound like? What do you think it should be?
I guess let's
Well,
Give it a shot. Give it.
no.
Never say it said.
no, because no, it's the way. There's a quality to it that it's kind of like that if you've heard audio of like John Lennon speaking,
Yeah.
right? It's that there's a very sort of there's a bass to it. I can't describe it.
All right.
But he's in there, and I'm just like, that's amazing. Yeah, look, filmography John Lithgow. He's still in my phone because we were trying to figure this out. Okay, so the movie is called The Rule of Jenny Penn.
All right.
And when you're done in that, if you go home tonight, whatever, watch the trailer because that looks creepy as hell. Watch that. Because, anyway, there you go.
All right.
There you go.
Well, with that, folks.
That's it.
So we absolutely like absolutes.
Yeah, so far it's pretty good fun.
I can't wait to talk about Green Lantern with you guys. Green Lantern is, it was not my favorite of the bunch. It's, if I stack rank them, it's probably bottom.
Really?
So, yeah.
give it a go.
We'll wait and see what you guys think. Thank you for listening to the Multiverse Comics Podcast. If you'd like to join us in person, you can come find us at the Multiverse. We're in Hurst, Texas. To join us online, you can go to www.multiverse.shop. Until next time, keep reading comics.